In April 2022, while Germany was still debating what to send Ukraine and America was calculating escalation risks, France made a decision. 18 Caesar self-propelled howitzers, delivered immediately, no conditions attached to their use against Russian forces on Ukrainian territory. The Caesar was the first Western heavy artillery system Ukraine received. It arrived before the German howitzers, before the American M777, before the British AS-90, and within weeks of arrival, Ukrainian crews were using it to do something that Russian military planners had not prepared for. They were shooting from one position, destroying a target 40 kilometers away, and leaving before Russian counter-battery radar could compute where the shot had come from. Not because the Caesar was faster than other artillery, but because it was a truck, and trucks are faster than anything else that carries a 155mm gun. To understand why the Caesar mattered so much to Ukraine, you need to understand what was happening to Ukrainian artillery in the spring of 2022. Russian artillery outranged and outnumbered Ukrainian systems. Russian guns were firing from positions where Ukrainian counter-battery could not reach. Russian ammunition depots were outside Ukrainian artillery range. Ukrainian artillery pieces, mostly Soviet-era 152mm guns, were being destroyed by Russian counter-battery fire at a rate that threatened to leave Ukrainian infantry without fire support entirely. The problem was not accuracy. Ukrainian crews were skilled and experienced. The problem was survivability. A Ukrainian howitzer that fired from a position could be located by Russian counter-battery radar within minutes. Russian artillery would respond to that location within minutes more. If the Ukrainian gun was still there, it died. If it was gone, it survived. The Caesar could be gone in 90 seconds. A crew of 5, working in the sequence they had trained for hundreds of times, could fire a round, begin the departure sequence, and have the vehicle moving in under 90 seconds from the last shot. The 1555mm L52 gun was mounted on a Renault Sherpa 5.6x6 truck. There was no armored cab. The crew was exposed while operating the gun. The protection against incoming fire was non-existent, but the Caesar's safety was not armor. It was speed. A vehicle that was gone in 90 seconds was a vehicle that counter-battery fire could not kill. The Caesar's development began in France in the late 1990s. GIT Industries, the French state armaments company, had studied the South African G6 Rhino extensively. The G6 concept, a 155mm gun mounted on a wheeled vehicle with a shoot-and-scoot capability, had been proven in Angola and in UAE service. The Caesar took that concept and refined it. Where the G6 was a purpose-built 47-ton armored vehicle with 6 wheels, the Caesar was a commercial truck with a gun on the back. The weight dropped to 17.7 tons in the initial 6x6 configuration. Later, an 8x8 version weighing 28 tons was developed with an armored cab and higher cross-country capability. The weight reduction had consequences. The Caesar could be transported by a single C-130 Hercules transport aircraft. One aircraft, one Caesar, deployed anywhere in the world. France had basing access. The crew of 5 operated entirely in the open when the gun was in action. The gun was loaded manually by the crew. The traverse and elevation were hydraulically assisted, but required crew input. This was simpler, cheaper, and lighter than the automated loading systems of the German PH-2000 or the American M109A7. It was also faster to set up and faster to leave. The trade was comfort for speed, automation for simplicity, armor for mobility. The French army ordered 77 CO systems in the initial contract. Saudi Arabia ordered 76. Lebanon ordered 6. Indonesia ordered 37. Thailand ordered 12. Each customer found the combination of 40-kilometer range, precision fire, and 90-second departure time compelling in ways that heavier, more expensive systems could not match. The Caesar's combat debut came in Afghanistan, where French forces deployed 6 systems in support of ISAF operations from 2009. The Afghanistan deployment proved the concept in asymmetric warfare conditions. The Caesar's 40-kilometer range gave French artillery crews the ability to support troops in contact from positions that were outside the range of Taliban mortars and rockets. The shoot-and-scoot capability meant that the gun could respond to fire requests, deliver rounds, and relocate before any Taliban spotters could identify the firing position. Mali from 2013 onward gave the Caesar a desert environment broadly similar to what the G6 had proven in southern Africa. French forces supporting the Malian government against jihadist groups used Caesar to provide fire support across distances that no other French artillery system could cover from the secure base areas where Caesar could operate. The Caesar proved effective in every environment it encountered. Not because it was the most powerful artillery system available. The German PzH 2000 carried more automation, more protection, and arguably more accuracy at extreme ranges, because it could be everywhere at once. A Caesar battery could occupy 4 different positions in the time a PS 2000 battery occupied 1. Each position change increased survivability. Each position change created a new threat vector for the opponent to calculate. Artillery that is unpredictable is artillery that is survivable. Ukraine. The 18 Caesar systems France delivered in April and May 2022 entered combat almost immediately. Ukrainian crews received compressed training from French instructors. The Caesar's simplicity helped. A system without automation is a system without complex fault modes. Ukrainian crews, experienced with Soviet-era artillery, found the Caesar's manual operation intuitive despite the unfamiliar gun and sighting systems. The immediate operational effect was the 90-second departure time. Ukrainian Caesar crews developed a specific tactic. Identify a position, drive in, fire 3 to 6 rounds, drive out, the entire sequence in under 3 minutes. Russian counter-battery radar could track the incoming rounds. It could compute the firing position. By the time Russian artillery was laid on that position and rounds were inbound, the Caesar was gone. Ukrainian commanders reported that Caesar crews' survival rate was dramatically higher than crews operating Soviet-era guns in identical tactical situations. The 55mm ammunition France provided was compatible with NATO stockpiles already flowing into Ukraine from multiple directions. The ammunition logistics were simpler than for Soviet-caliber guns because the supply chain was European standard. The accuracy of the 155mm L-52 gun with Copperhead laser-guided rounds and Excalibur GPS-guided rounds extended the Caesar's effectiveness beyond unguided shells. A single Excalibur round could hit a target with the same precision as a HIMARS GMLRS rocket at lower cost from a Caesar that could fire one immediately after another rather than waiting for rocket pod reloads. By the end of 2022, France had delivered 18 Caesar systems and had committed to providing more. The Danish army contributed 19 of their own Caesar systems to Ukraine. The combination of French and Danish Caesar systems formed the core of Ukraine's Western Standard wheeled howitzer capability, alongside HIMARS. The Caesar's significance in the broader context of this series of videos was its connection to a lineage that began 50 years earlier. In the 1970s, South African engineers under arms embargo had decided that the only viable artillery for their operational situation was wheeled. The G6 Rhino proved the concept. French engineers in the 1990s had studied the G6 and concluded that the concept could be taken further, lighter, faster, more deployable. The Caesar was the result. Ukrainian crews in 2022 used the Caesar to fight a war that validated everything the G6's designers had argued in Angola. Artillery that can relocate faster than the enemy can respond is artillery that survives. Artillery that survives keeps firing. Artillery that keeps firing wins. The South Africans had understood this in the Angolan bush. The French had refined it in the design office. Ukraine had proven it on the Kharkiv steppe. The truck with the gun, 40 kilometers, 90 seconds, still right.